Welcome to your next to the last class of senior seminar. Are we excited? All right.
My second to last this morning.
So again, cfeme.org is where you can see the plans.
Aren't I? I'm so cool.
I had one in physics and I failed. I was just like, because it's some kind of recognition. And I was just like, I can't, I know what relativity is, but I can't explain this to you. Yesterday when I want me to explain to you relativity and quantum mechanics this morning. It's just like, I was like, and it revolutionized science with light.
Okay, let's get started. So I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with our new dean this year, but Dr. Boomgard is here tonight to talk to you a few minutes about your presence on the campus for the last 4 years and what we hope to do in the future. So would you please welcome Dean Boomgard. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you for letting me come. So this is senior seminar, right?
Yes.
And how many of you are going to actually graduate this May? All right. So this is a really interesting time. I taught senior seminar in one of my previous jobs. I was on the faculty, music faculty at St. Mary's College of Maryland as part of the University of Maryland. And I taught senior seminar every year. And for us, senior seminar, I was primarily working with performers that were preparing their senior recitals. And my job was to help them work on their recitals with their applied teacher and also have them write program notes for their recital and explore their music and work in the class environment with one another on their performance. And so they would work the entire semester just on their performances. They would perform for one another. They would critique one another. And it was kind of like a laboratory experience, probably a little bit like the one that we're going to have tonight. And I remember many, many times talking to them about the subject that Professor Snyder sent me. I asked him, what do you want me to talk about? And he sent me this. He said, self-confidence, question mark. They know more than they think they know. Also family, the Loyola family. We want to keep them close. We care about what happens to them next. We want to keep in touch. Loyola as caring, far-reaching, lifetime membership community. And I think it would be good to bring in the idea of the values and ethos of Jesuit education. Remind them of what it really means and how Jesuit values evolve and that they are evolving them. At the root of it, a Jesuit education is about respect and care for the individual, and the recipient of it must pass it along by living it. And that's a pretty good speech right there. I thought I could just maybe read this and sit down, but I suppose I could elaborate on this a little bit. When I thought about this, I thought in terms of what has helped me. And so forgive me if I digress into autobiography as I talk about this, but it might make this come alive a little bit more for you. I think that there are 4 really big keys to success in our business, in the music business, in the arts world, but this works in industry. It works in the sports world. It even works if you're a mom or dad. These are 4 things which can come up and be quite useful to you. And I learned this from the Jesuits. One of the first things that they like to talk about is self-awareness. By that they mean, are you aware of who you are? Do you know where you're going? Do you know what your talents are? Do you know what you want to accomplish? Have you ever observed yourself as you're going through your day or when you get into a difficult situation? When you're doing a presentation in front of a lot of people, Can you step out of your head for a second and think about what they might be interested in hearing you say? That's what I'm doing right now. In other words, self-awareness begins with asking yourself a lot of questions, thinking about where you are as a person, and constantly working on yourself. I know that Professor Snyder and I have talked a lot about this when we talk about management and working with people. When I drive in the morning, I'm very often playing the day out in my head, what the day is going to be like, what kind of conversations am I going to have. Is someone going to come to me with a problem, and am I going to have a good answer for them, or am I going to have a reasonable thing to say? Am I going to help them in some way? Is there something I can do to make their life better? Sometimes I think of self-awareness as, self-awareness is kind of where the ego ends and knowledge begins. Where the ego ends and knowledge begins. I'm sure all of you have encountered people with big egos, right? You've encountered people maybe as musicians with big egos, or artists with big egos, or people who own clubs with big egos, right? And sometimes just people working in a car lot with a big ego. But what you often find is if that ego is not connected with some self-awareness and knowledge, it's not a very useful trait. If it's connected, though, to knowledge and self-awareness, ego can be very valuable. It can be a good thing. And so when I talk about self-awareness, it's kind of something I live. I know it's the Jesuit way because they see this as a key to opening up your mind. In their world, they're thinking about your relationship with God. How do you view yourself in your relationship with God? Are you connected to God? Do you have a spiritual relationship with God? Do you have that kind of bond? Do you think about those things as you go through the day? Is it something that you think about at night? How many of you have ever heard of the spiritual exercises by St. Ignatius, right? The spiritual exercises were written by St. Ignatius back in the 16th century as a tool to help people learn how to meditate. Meditation did not begin with yoga in the 60s. It's existed a long time. And St. Ignatius wrote a whole treatise on this. It's fascinating. In there, for example, there's a whole section on how to make hard decisions. It's fascinating, how to make hard decisions. Rule number 1 for St. Ignatius, don't ever make a hard decision when you're emotionally upset. I was talking to a student the other day. They were ready to drop out of college. They'd not done well in their classes. They looked at the end of the semester as just one long series of public humiliations. They were dreading their recital. They were filled with fear. And they said, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit college, and I'm going to go work in some other business. And I said, you know, you're making a really big decision at a time when you're upset. Think about this for a second. Wait until you're into the summer, after this is all over. That's when you make your decisions, not when you're upset. And then the other rule Ignatius used in his little section on making hard decisions was, does this decision bring you closer to God? That's a hard question. Does this decision bring you closer to God? Now, you could think of it a different way. You could say, does this decision lead to something better in my life? How is this going to make my life better? That's a great question to ask yourself. And that's part of self-awareness. The second category here of steps for success is ingenuity. The Jesuits were always really ingenious. They still are. They're very, very clever. That's why they have that phrase sometimes, Jesuitical, right? The Jesuits find ways around difficult rules. My favorite story of this is when, I don't know if it was Pope John the 23rd, one of the popes sent out an edict back in the 60s and said, no more smoking in the rectories of the churches. This looks bad to people. You've got to stop smoking. Only that were our only problem now in the church, right? But no smoking. And so they heard that the Jesuits in one particular church were smoking a great deal. And so the bishop called and said, is anyone in your rectory smoking? And the priest looked around and said, no, and hung up. And then he took another puff from his cigarette, because he wasn't smoking at that actual instant. Right? That's cutting the line very thinly. So it's kind of an ingenious way of looking at things. There are many other things that the Jesuits have done. Well, another favorite one of mine is in Baltimore, where I'm from. Loyola Baltimore has a limit of students it can have. It can only have, I think, 4,000 students at any given time because of neighborhood agreements with the people that live around the campus. And so they have 4,000 students, but they actually have around 5,000 students in the student body. But at any given time, 1,000 of them are studying overseas, right? So they send them off campus. So they can get around the 4,000 limit in a kind of clever way. So they're ingenious. And so the question is, are you ingenious? Are you using your mind? Are you using your mind creatively to deal with your problems? If you're practicing an instrument, if you're working on your voice, if you're working with your group, or if you're having a difficult passage of music, or you're working in a difficult contract, are you using your mind? Are you being creative? Are you thinking outside of the box? Because other people will be. And you have it in you to do, but sometimes it's not something we think about. We don't consciously think about our ingenuity, but it's in there. I'm sure we'll see a lot of it tonight. And it's something that's precious and should be shared. If you're self-aware, you're aware of your ingenuity, and you're aware when you're going to use it. The third thing that's common in the Jesuit discussion of success is an interesting one, and that's the category they call love. Here they're talking about love of what you do. Your love for your neighbor and your love for yourself. And of course, your relationship with God, that's another type of love. I always think that when I see people who are struggling in college, for example, one of the things I'm thinking is, are they doing what they really love? If they're dragging themselves into class and they're not enjoying life and they seem to be suffering at what they're doing, in my heart, I'm thinking, you know, this may not be for you. That doesn't mean that you're stupid or don't have the ability, but you may not have enough love for this to want to carry on. And sometimes it's hard to have that love for your craft. Sometimes we forget about it. I know many professors who sometimes forget why they even got into teaching, right? And they come into me and they're complaining, not here at Loyola, but at other schools. They come in and they're complaining about teaching and their students aren't doing this and their students aren't doing that. And frankly, when I was teaching, I sometimes had those feelings. And a friend of mine said one time, Don, just remember why you got into this business for a second. And it was this incredible love for teaching and for being helpful to people and for learning. All of you are at a stage right now where you may be questioning your love for your senior projects. I'm not sure. You may be wondering if you really love this. However, there's something about this you love or you wouldn't have stuck it out this long, right? And you wouldn't have the dreams that you have for the future. So usually in senior seminar, it's kind of rare to meet someone who I feel like doesn't love what they're doing. I think you get that. But being conscious of that love and sharing it with people is a really, really important part of success. Lots of times when you're working with someone, it's really important to be competent, to be technically good, and to have the knowledge. That's kind of a baseline. But the thing that really kind of puts you over the top in working with people is that they sense that you have a love for what you're doing, you have a deep commitment to excellence, and you also have a love for them on a human level. Lots of times people will look the other way at your minor faults if they know that you're struggling and trying really hard to be a good person with them. This is my hope as dean, right? Because I struggle every day. I come in every day, I have all of these really wild things that I'm doing in difficult situations. I go from one thing to another. There's no way I can possibly know everything I need to know. And so sometimes my sheer brilliance is not enough, right? My great intellectual ability, I can hear my wife laughing now, my great knowledge is not enough, because that's really not what people need many times. What they really need is to know, I support them, I'm behind them, and together we'll find a way through it. Right? So that's a special kind of love that we have for what we do, and also a love for ourselves, a care for ourselves. You know that phrase, cura personalis, that Latin phrase, the care of the whole person that the Jesuits use a lot, right? The care for the whole person, we're educating the whole person. That also goes for your own treatment of yourself. How do you treat yourself? Is there a voice inside of you that's constantly criticizing you and telling you that you're not good enough? Right? Are you torturing yourself in some way? Are you being really harsh on yourself when you don't need to be? That can be very destructive. It also shows, in a Jesuit point of view, a lack of faith in God. Because God wouldn't have put you here if he didn't think you could do it, right? So you have to have that special kind of faith in yourself and love for yourself, I think, to be successful. Then the last one I have here is courage. Courage is something that we can be born with. There are some people that are just naturally courageous. But frequently, courage is something we have to learn. And I thought a lot about this one as a performer. You know, I've played a lot of piano recitals and done a lot of performing with people. And when I was, well, I guess when I was younger, I was never afraid of anything. I don't know if you've gone through this phase where you're like 12 years old and you'll go out on stage in front of 8,000 people. It doesn't even faze you. It's easy to be courageous when you're 12 because you have no imagination yet of what could happen, right? I had a friend one time who said, people who are never afraid simply have no imagination. So we can learn to be courageous, though, by working hard at what we do, being good technically. So if you're a performer, for example, how do you get over fear? You get over fear by being well prepared. I was listening to a concert the other night in Baltimore. I was visiting. It's a very, very famous tenor from the Metropolitan Opera, and I had a chance to talk to him afterwards. I had dinner with him afterwards. And I said, how do you deal with stage fright? Because you obviously have none at all. He went on stage and sang 2 hours from memory, difficult arias by Rossini and Verdi and everyone imaginable. It was just astonishing performance. He sung for 15 years at the Met. And he said, I don't get scared if I'm prepared. If I'm ready, then I'm not scared. And then he told me a few experiences where he wasn't ready, and you could kind of see what he meant. But that idea of preparation is really important. I like to think sometimes about antiquity. I love the ancient writings. If you go back and read some of the ancient writings of Caesar, take a look at the history of battle, for example, you discover that there were certain times where there was a great emphasis on physical courage. Certainly in the ancient world, when you're fighting hand to hand, you had to have a lot of physical courage. My father was a naval officer, and when he brought me up as if I was going to be a naval officer, so I learned to box, and then later on I got a black belt in karate, and I did a lot of physical wild stuff that I don't think about much anymore, but I used to do it. And I used to talk to him about courage. And he said, it's all about preparation. He said the same thing, it's all about preparation. When you get into battle, he would say, and he was in battle many times, the preparation he learned would kick in. And he would act as if he were brave. He didn't even think about it. He said, I was scared to death, but I just did all the things I was trained to do, and it worked out for me. Right? And so courage is something that can be learned. It's not just some mythical thing that exists out there and you feel like you don't have it, you can't get it. You can get it through preparation. But there's another kind of courage, right? And that's the courage to take chances. All of you have taken a huge chance. You've come to Loyola, you've majored in music industry, you're going out into careers. A lot of people, I'm sure there's no shortage of people to tell you you can't make it, there's no jobs out there, the economy's terrible, it's really, really a difficult time. How are you ever going to support yourself? I've heard all of those things. I heard the same things when I was studying music. Many people would tell me, there are no jobs out there, how are you going to make it? But there are jobs out there if you're really good at what you do. If you really love what you do and you have the persistence, there are things for you to do out there. But the courage to take that chance is something you've already shown. So remember that tonight as you do your presentations. And remember that the rest of your time here at Loyola and when you graduate. The courage is inside of you. And in a way, you've been training yourselves your whole lives to go out there and act courageously. This is nothing new. And so it's built into you. Professor Snyder and the other professors here have helped to refine it. But don't forget that it's something, again, you have to be intentional. You have to think and be aware, first of all, of who you are, of the fact that you're creative, that you love what you do and you love others, and that you are courageous. And that's my message.
Thank you so much. Okay, so just to remind everybody, you can observe the business plans. You can read the business plans. They're going to be presented on cfmAE.org. Click on Music Industry Studies, password senior 2010. And the survey, we would like you to fill out for each presenter. It's on Survey Monkey. Let me show you the name.
Should we put our names in? I mean, it really is optional.
You don't need to put your name on the
Okay.
survey.
CFNAE.org. Then go to MIS program at the top and go to seniors 2000.
So you know where the survey is. Let me show you.
Aubrey is.
So here's the survey, surveymonkey.com/s/senior business plan. Everybody good? Gentlemen, show them the writing on this plan.
Yes,
I'll move there.
So the first presenter is going to be Aubrey Lynn. So give a hand on
Seniors 2010. Look at that, seniors like 12.
Okay, I'm actually just gonna set this on the table, so I'm sorry if I don't come up in there, because I don't think it'll fit on
Aubrey, you want to introduce yourself and tell them what your major is?
Yes, my name is Aubrey Lynn. I'm a music industry major on the business track. In California, I received my music training, so I came here for business. I have an Associate of Arts in Liberal Arts, teaching a piano certification, web design certification, and recording and production certification. So I'm just here to finish up my last 2 years. And the project I decided to do is a book called You Don't Have to Start When You're 5. And I think something unique about this is kind of my background. I didn't start when I was 5. I actually started music at rock bottom and theory and piano when I was 19 to 22. And within that time I was able to gain high music theory courses in advancement and got my piano teaching certification. And I realized a lot of the problems with instruction to adults, so that's what made me really want to write this book. Some of the biggest problems I found were poor teachers, very poor teachers. I think a lot of music teachers suffer from the curse of knowledge, not being able to handle when people don't know what you know. When you start at such a young age, like most music teachers do, it's very intuitive and it comes very natural. And I think it's very difficult for them to kind of cultivate methods for adult beginners because it is so natural to them. Let's see. Oh, and a lot of teachers are better off playing than teaching. There are two separate arts, and a lot of times in my courses, my lesson was them just showing off on their instrument. They come to class late and they dismiss early. So that's one of the things that really got to me. Adult learning. Most teachers are left brain thinkers because when they learn at a young age, that side of the brain, the mathematical analytical side, is very developed, and so when you get adults in the classroom, it's very difficult to teach people who are who teach with the language side of the brain and visual learners. And textbook costs. I think we all know this. Every semester music theory textbooks are anywhere from $60 to $120. And my solutions to these problems is, since I learned as an adult, I have an adult perspective on methods and strategies that I can teach to beginners. The book is very comprehensive. It goes from rock bottom music all the way to world harmony, and it has orchestration, arrangement, jazz, and counterpoint theory as well. And it's cost efficient. It will cover all 4 years of what a music major learns for about $39 to $49. The business model, I like to sell the book as an ebook, also available off the websites, my website and the Amazon.com website. And it's going to be in textbook as a print. And eventually I would like to make music theory applications for the iPhone and iPad. I think that'd be really neat. I know there's a lot of good instrumental applications for the iPad and iPhone, but I haven't seen any really good theory ones. One of the cool things about the book is it has online support where people can go to the website and discuss music theory and have any questions, and kind of like a peer-to-peer answering forum. The book's also going to have worksheets and study guides and things that the ones on the market right now don't offer, and my examples will be catered to what I'm trying to teach in the book, with my own analyses included. Marketing and sales. Obviously, we're going to have a web presence and use the social media to drive them to the website. Getting students, college students who are on campus, trying to get my book in bookstores and music faculty to recommend my book for the class. And my competition right now is the Idiot's Guide to Music Theory and Music Theory for Dummies. The problems with these books is they speak in a really condescending and childish tone, and the layout's really childish. Also, the farthest they get is 4-part harmony if you're lucky. And they're really vague on rhythm. There's not much at all on rhythm. The team for my project, I would be the author. I would need an editor to look over the text, a graphic designer to design the examples for the concepts, a publisher. Right now I'm looking at independent publishing through Amazon or lulu.com. A web designer. I could get that started with my certification, but it will probably get to where I would need more of an e-commerce for somebody else to come in. And retailers, physical book retailers like Barnes & Noble and Borders. Right now the book's in progress. I'm choosing the summer to finish it. It should be done when I come back in the fall. And to coincide with that, I was going to start a 6-week theory program for music. It's called Music Foundations. John and I were talking about it. It's a 6-week music theory program offered here, if we can, at Loyola, free to adult residents of New Orleans and students on Saturdays for 6 weeks. And it'll go through about 2 hours of the methods and strategies in the book. And hopefully we can get them filmed and uploaded for people who can't make Saturdays. This is for adults. It's, you know, they have kids, they have jobs, so things come up. So if they miss a class, they can catch it up online. So I think that'd be really good, and it would push sales of the book. And after that, I would like to do online theory courses that coincide with colleges, and they can have their students take online courses for their major. And that is all I have for you. Thank you.
Do you need any money? I mean, are you
I
asking
do,
for money?
yeah, I do need money. The thing is probably a web startup. To get a really, really decent website is probably a couple grand. And packages, it's so difficult to do independent publishing because it is costly per book. So yeah, it's in the financial plan. Also, Finale would be wonderful to have so that I can get my examples in.
So are you pitching, are you going to try to raise the money to accomplish these things?
Yes. Well, I'm going to try on my own to get as many books published as I can independently.
Right.
And hopefully by doing that, it will lead to a major book publisher.
And you've priced out your cost of books?
Yes.
What do you figure the cost per book?
The cost per book is expensive. It's like, I think it's like from $50 to $60 a book.
Why is it that much?
That's what, you know, I was looking at Amazon. It'd be smarter for me to do the ebooks because it's, you know, instant download and it's a lot cheaper to do. But yeah, per book, because the book itself is like 300 to 400 pages. That's why. Because it is, yeah, supplemental for a textbook.
Is it color?
No, it's black and white, but that's where the costs come in, is the size of the textbook.
Yes. That's a lot of money. You can't really sell it. You have to
Yeah,
sell
so,
the cost of it.
yeah, at least to make like 125 books, I think it's like $4,000 or $5,000.
Do you
Yeah,
see
it's
any
like-
problems with putting it online?
No, I don't. Especially doing the free route, like offering a couple chapters for free for people to download, and then starting out with ebooks, and then maybe the profit from the ebooks can be used to get physical copies. That's probably the smartest thing.
To get picked up by a national publisher. do you need hard copy sales to prove it up?
You would need, yeah, you would need to send them a hard copy of the actual text. So I guess I would probably sell ebooks and then use that money to buy physical copies to send out to publishers, hoping they'll pick it up, and to music faculty members through, you know, select high schools and colleges.
Anybody else have any comments from our panel? Do you have any questions of our panel?
No, just
Yeah. Have you considered a shorter title? I realize you don't have to start with your 5 as your message.
yeah.
But your acronym doesn't really work. It's not like ABDC. Or,
Yeah,
you know,
I
it's-
know. I
Yeah.
really like that one. I think it stands out, but you're right, it is long. And I have tried to think of other ones, but I will definitely reconsider if you think that might hinder.
Well, I think if you look at, you can use Google AdWords to test some things like that. If you check out 4 Hour Word Week by Tim Ferriss, he talks about using AdWords to test titles and see what's attractive and what's not.
Yeah. And I don't, sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want to make it like, you know how they have Idiot's Guide or Dummy's Guide? I don't want to make
Right.
it so condescending that like, you're an idiot or you're a dummy, you know what I mean? I
Sure.
want to make it witty, but like, hey, it's for beginners.
Right.
So,
I think there's something witty and empowering there. I just don't
Yeah.
unfortunately know what it is for you.
Okay.
So, it sounds like you're trying to create a tribe here, basically, people who are interested in doing that. Have you read Tribes by Seth
By
Godin?
Seth Godin,
Okay,
yes, I have.
good. And then you got your code of ethics in here. How does your business and your business plan reflect your code of ethics?
well, that's a very good question. Thanks for asking that.
Questions are my jobs.
Well, especially going to a Jesuit school, ethics are very, very important to me. I have a high value for service, and part of this book is kind of making it easier for other people and making it so that they want to learn and that they will learn. And with the courses, like, you know, volunteering my time and making it easier for people to learn and to have education. Yeah, that's what I can come up with on the spot. So.
Right. All right.
Well, hang on, in here you found, you said your personal code of ethics?
Yes.
Is that written in here? I missed it.
Yes, I do
Yeah,
have one.
It's page 10.
Page 10? Oh, okay, right.
What's your mission?
My mission of the book
Your personal.
is to provide music education in an easy, comprehensive, and understandable way for adult beginners.
Great.
I think you've got one of the most comprehensive action plans
Oh,
written down.
thank
so
you.
that's Really
Yeah.
good. One thing I have for if the ultimate purpose of this business plan is to solicit an investment or a loan from somebody, maybe the one thing you're kind of liking is how you're going to pay that back and then what time you know, how much time it's going to take back, and if there's a big pop at the end, like to get picked up by a national publisher,
Mhm.
how much, you know, how much does your circulation explode by going to that? So if there was one other thing to address in here, maybe profit.
Yeah, and what I've heard is when you do land a major publishing deal, your advance is about $20,000. So I mean, to start off and get all the books that I need to hopefully get a return on a publisher, it'd probably be like $5,000 to $7,000, and so that would be put back with the advance. But thank you.
I just think building on that point, I would just say that you ought to, if you really to go to a venture capitalist with this and say, do your presentation, which I thought was really clear, followed along real well in here. I thought that was all good.
Thank you.
But I do think you need to have really some traditional looking spreadsheets in here which would point answers, would give those answers out rather than just a listing of things. You do have to, need to look at a more traditional way. I like this. These should be sort of the notes, you know, next to a real spreadsheet of here's how it works.
Okay.
And these would be the notes explaining it to people. So I think that's what I would say was missing in here, was just a good solid spreadsheet that someone could look at and say, oh, I see where the money comes in, how it's gonna go out, how you're gonna build it up, you know, and pay it back. So I would
Yeah.
say that, or if you're gonna offer them a piece of your business, I say you're looking for $20,000 at the end. Whether that's a partnership or if that's a buyback, how that gets structured.
Okay.
That would be answered with a really good spreadsheet going out.
Okay, great.
I think also if this was submitted, you know, as something that you're trying to get funding for or show people, they probably will want to see a sample of what the book would be like. So
Yeah.
that might be something as an appendix, or you know, you could work up a chapter.
Yeah.
Right, because usually they'll ask for a chapter or two just to see the type of thing you're writing.
Yeah.
Right? And
Okay.
that could be something that you could you know, integrate into this pretty easily.
Yeah, I can just add it in the
Exactly.
index.
Also, it sounds like there's a kind of an online component. Like your idea would be a book, which would also have like a website people could go to and interact with, right? Something like that. There's a, I still write and review books, believe it or not, and I did a review of a book on 18th century music theory.
Really?
Yeah, by Robert Gajarian, who teaches at Chicago. And in there, he has a website where you can listen to all of the musical examples in the book, which, you know,
Oh, that's very cool.
That is wonderful. So all you have to do is go to the website, open up the book to example 13A, and you can hear it. And it's delightful. That's and it also, the book also comes with a DVD or a computer, you know, disc that you can use also to do some of the exercises with.
Okay.
And so there's more and more this kind of interactive stuff going on with music theory, that because there are so many people that benefit from it.
Yeah, and that's a good idea because I know if you want the publisher to do production of CDs, that's a very big, like, are you serious? You know, it's very expensive, so that's a really good idea, putting them online.
And he just plays that himself on a synthesizer, so
And-
he's, you know, he's not taking great performances from other people, but he obviously just did this in his basement.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're convincing, you know, and he's doing excerpts from the 18th century that no one's even heard of. So, you know, there aren't a lot of recordings of you know, Cimarosa oratorios out there.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's
Yeah.
playing part of that, but it's a delightful book. And I could email you the title, and you could take a look at
Great.
it. It's really quite fascinating. It's very cutting edge for music theory.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for your time, guys.
That was exactly 15 minutes. That was perfect. So before we go too much further, I want to make, I forgot to introduce our guest. Jay Weigel is the executive director of the CAC downtown. He teaches film scoring here, and Jay is a film scorer by profession as well as running the CAC. Dr. Boomgarden, you've met. Jude Boudreau, you've met. He came in and talked to you at the beginning of the semester, financial advisor locally. And Ryan Juneau is VP of Management and Acquisitions for La Tron Properties. So that's your panel. So I think next is Amina. Okay, so welcome, Amina. Okay.
On the survey, it's not clear if one is the highest or 10 is the
10 is the
highest.
highest. So please, you can.
Oh, no problem. You did good.
Anybody have any problems getting to the survey or getting to the business plan? Okay. Take
Okay, my name is Amina McLean, and my major is music industry studies. And I chose to do my project on a company called Sheer Management. Okay, Sheer Management is like a boutique music industry solutions company, and it services progressive artists, producers, and industry startups. It's geared toward males and females ages 18 to 35 who are based in the Midwest and in the Southeast, and that's because I'm currently living between the two places and have a pretty large network in those areas. There's 4 groups of services offered by Sheer. The first one is consulting, and the consulting service is mainly strategic planning, branding, and web marketing. And the strategic planning is one of the main services for consulting because most people need some kind of guidance in their career, either as an artist, as a startup, as a producer. They need some direction to make sure their career can go from one plateau to the next. The second service we offer is career management, also known as artist management. And we do everything from booking to contract management, advance and tour details, web marketing, branding, just pretty much anything an artist will need, we will handle for them. We'll even file their copyright forms for them. We'll try to push their music to TV, to film, everything we can do to help them be successful. The third service we offer is management of business affairs, and that's primarily just contract management, making sure your contracts were carried out on time, keeping you in order. We also do a lot of business organizing, helping them with organizing employees, setting them up financially too. And the fourth service is public relations, and we create the EPK, which is an electronic press kit. It includes a music file if you're an artist. It includes press, articles, photos, everything you need to kind of put yourself out there to market yourself. We also do public relations, and that would be mostly writing press releases. And if you need to find an actual publicist for you or your company, then we will help you find a contracted publicist. Okay, the company structure of Sheer Management is it's LLC. It will be registered in the state of Ohio, and that's because after graduation I am moving there. I am the owner, and I'll be conducting all the business services. Once my clientele grows, I will hire employees or contract specific services out to other companies. And since I am the only employee currently, there will be an advisory board to make sure I am on track, I'm not making the wrong decisions, and it'll be primarily comprised of educators and entrepreneurs, those who can foresee maybe, say like 2 to 5 years into the future of what the market will be like, future trends, and just kind of anything that my company may need. Okay, the market right now, it's actually very competitive, but it's very easy to enter. There are a lot of possible clientele. There's lots of artists, producers, there's tons of people who are starting in the industry who want to be involved but don't know much about it, and that's where we would step in. The largest threat to the company is the inability to market to our target market, and if that happens, we need to reevaluate our market and find new ways to reach them, or make sure we're marketing to the right market. We need to tailor ourselves to fit who we're supposed to be giving services to. And the largest opportunity is market growth. It's the music industry, and although lots of sales are down for music, the market remains growing. The marketing strategy, for our distribution strategy, we're going to use a direct and pull strategy. And direct distribution strategy is where, since we're actually working with our clients one-on-one, I'm going to service them directly. And the pull strategy is where we're hoping that our service is such high quality that word of mouth will spread, that people will start coming to the company requesting services. The price plan, it depends on the service you're getting. It starts at $25 to $35 per hour, and that's usually with the consulting clients. For the career management clients, we'll take 15% of your gross earnings based on the work that we do for you. If you're going to do public relations or management of business affairs, we'll usually do a monthly rate of $500 to $700. And if there's any other kind of project we're helping you with, there will be a base rate, and it's going to be primarily based on what all needs to be done. Okay, for our promotion strategy, we're going to advertise on the internet with Google AdWords, and that way we can see how many people are looking for our type of company. We can also budget ourselves to make sure we're within our expenses. That way, if we're not doing any unnecessary advertising. Personnel selling will also occur, and that's through networking events and social events. And we will attend conferences, like there's an artist management conference in October of every year in New York. And we want to attend that so we can purposely network with other industry individuals and artist potential clients who would need our service. For public relations, we will write our own press releases since we do offer that service. And we will distribute them to blogs and any contacts that we have on websites or with newspapers, magazines, etc. Indirect marketing will occur through like Facebook, Twitter. I do have a Twitter account, and so far I've actually been personally networking with a lot of other artist management firms, potential clients, just anyone in the industry you could think of. Okay, so far, to kind of get the company off the ground, I have secured a domain, and I'm currently working on a potential website layout, and I'm going to probably search for a web designer. I've been trying to do it myself to cut down expenses, but it's taking longer than expected. I have not registered the company yet. That would be the next step. Of course, like I said, as an LLC in Ohio. And then after that, I would like to start marketing efforts. The next step would then to be purchase software such as like Photoshop for our marketing efforts for ourselves and our clients. And then we would like to get a second and third client and then register for the Artist Management Conference in October. The financial estimates. The worst case scenario, which I think it was through the first and the beginning of the second year, only earned about $200 to $250 of revenue each month. And so that left us at a net profit loss of pretty much like $7,500. The next year, then the second year, it was a net profit loss of negative $6,360. The most likely case scenario is a net profit loss of $3,663 in the first year and a net profit of $7,140 in the second year. The best case scenario, of course, we lost the least amount of money in the first year, which was negative $1,433. And the second year, we had a net profit of $9,140. The current status of the company, even though it's not registered, is we actually have one consulting client here in New Orleans. And we're currently registering her copyrights with the government. I just formed her LLC. I'm going through her album and potential material for a new album with her, trying to troubleshoot. And after that, we'll start some web marketing with her. And right now, we're actually making a little bit more than the most likely case scenario per month for month 2. The second current status is we actually have another person who's requesting our services. They're putting a project out now, but we're in negotiations about payment because they cannot pay the full fee. And of course, as I mentioned before, we've already secured our website domain, but a website is not up yet. Okay, my conclusion. The company can actually be sustained without investment, and that's because I have some personal money I would put in for a computer. I have half the money for the software programs I need. Like I said, I already have my domain, but then I would not be able to self-sustain myself financially, so I would have to work another job, and therefore time would be taken away from the company. So investment would be better because I could put more effort towards the company and more attention, therefore making it more successful earlier. Okay.
What's your timeline? What do you expect? Where do you expect to be in a year on the project? Have a dozen clients?
Yeah, I'd say like at least like have met with 6 or 7 clients at a minimum, and most of those clients would like to be ongoing with their projects.
I'll just say one thing and I'll pass on, but the advisory board is an extremely good idea. Because since you are entering the market as relatively unknown, if you had a professional advisory board that people could recognize, I think that would be a very positive development.
Okay.
Also would give investors a certain sense of confidence.
Okay.
And Aubrey, that's true for you too. You might want to inquire about getting some music theory people on your board. People. So, thanks. Any questions or observations? Since you like that spreadsheet, right?
Not yet. Yeah. You know, I would say this is probably will go for everybody at some point. Having just some of these I hadn't seen at all, but you know, this would obviously. I mean, to me, it's obviously would need to be way cut down for any kind of presentation for money. I mean, this is like a school here. I don't know you got your requirements, but I mean, obviously, this is you would shrink this down quite a bit, but I think I would emphasize when you do that, I mean, I think where you interned and where you worked here is really strong for what you want to do, you know, and that could be a large part of it. Getting some type of recommendation letters from those guys, Robin or Terrence, probably Robin, you know, just talking about it. I'm not familiar as much with the other, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of something else, but that would be really strong. I think, I think it, and I would say that when you're trying to raise, this would go for the other lady as well, I don't think you're asking for enough money. I mean,
Okay.
I think to try to raise $20,000 or $30,000 is no less work, and probably to a lot of investors would just be off the table, much easier for $100,000 when you really get it set up so that you can eat and you can work and you're not dipping in nickels and dimes. So I would just, when you try to move it forward, don't underestimate your sweat equity in all of this, and that's what people are investing. They're investing in you and the belief that you're believing it and that you're gonna get it back. And if you don't spend it, great, you can give it back to them early. So I would just suggest you don't forget that you've got to survive throughout this. And it's
Okay.
not how little can I get by with, but it's really how well can I do this. So I would say that when you're talking to investors, I don't think $100,000 is easier than getting $20,000.
Okay.
Unless you're getting it from a friend or a relative who will just give it to you to go out and do it. But I think everything I see on this list that you're supposed to do is well articulated. I think it's really well laid out.
Thank you.
The biggest question I had is, can you personally afford to do this? Just from looking at the, as mentioned, the spreadsheets in the back are well put together, but there's no salary for you in it.
Right. Well, I did put in a salary. Like I said, it's not a lot. It's $750 a month, and that's really just to get by on the bare minimum,
Okay.
as Mr. Weigel said. But I could not personally probably afford to do without a supplemental job. If I was making somewhere closer to like $1,500 to $2,000 a month, then I would be comfortable. Just as a person right out of college until my business grew.
Well, it certainly doesn't hurt to put that in there and ask for that, expect
Okay.
that. One other question I had was kind of with respect to the services is, and I'm a novice and I don't know much
Okay.
about it. Is it not typical for a manager, an artist manager, to do all those other services?
It's not. And what I've been noticing a lot is people have actually been helping me for advice and for help. And like they don't want necessarily to pay someone 15% of all their earnings. They rather just pay someone to do specific things for them. And that's where I'm seeing the need for consulting. It's because you can pay me to do this one service for you. I can continue to help you, or I don't have to. There's no contractual obligation to each other. And some people prefer that.
Can artists afford this?
Some can. I mean, like I said, like the household income, which I think my plan is a minimum of like probably $35,000 to $40,000 a year. Like you have to have some kind of something to be able to afford my service.
Are there others that are doing similar things with this that you know of?
There are in the class. I know someone's doing arts management and someone's doing consulting, I think. You guys are doing consulting, is that right? Okay. I don't know too much about their plans, like I don't know rates, what they're charging.
But I mean in the outside world.
I know some people who are, but I feel like their knowledge is kind of limited, and so they usually underdeliver in some of their services, from what I've seen.
Is there anyone out there who does this who's really good at it, like who you admire and you are kind of emulating?
Not really, no. It's just, to me, it works for me. I guess it's something I'm dedicated to, would be good at, and just what I see is needed.
I think it's good that you have the background for it. From just a technical standpoint, the legal seems a little light, especially when dealing with a lot of these contractual issues. And the things that you will be doing for clients, like filing patent, trademark type things, would really, it seemed to me, require somebody with a strong legal background. You don't want to be out there practicing law without a license.
I can tell you guys my secret, my legal secret. My dad's actually a lawyer, used to practice,
Okay.
and
That's fantastic.
helps
You leverage all
with
that
everything.
stuff as much as you can. You know?
Yeah, you should put that in your cash.
Okay.
I mean, you should put that in. He's gonna donate that as
Okay.
a cost that you're covering.
Yeah,
You know?
yes.
And the other thing I wanted to say, when you said 50% of gross, I would put in there, especially when you present it to raise money, gross of what?
Okay.
You know, I mean, is that performance royalties as well as mechanicals and then, licensing fees, whatever that means, so that the investor can see.
Okay.
Yeah, and
What that is.
a little better breakdown on the assumptions, how many hours
Okay.
doing this, consulting fees, how many clients, how many shows, you're gonna have to go
Okay.
to get on.
And I wasn't sure if I put it in there or not. I think it's more of an afterthought. Is all the numbers are really just based on a straight consulting basis because that's what I'm doing now, and it doesn't include any artist management since I'm not there yet.
But, I mean, business plans are very forward thinking.
Okay.
Forward looking. They wanna know where's this going?
Okay.
So,
And I asked the question, I asked because when I go out to raise money,
Mhm.
people will often say, well, who else is doing this? And sometimes they're asking that not because they want to compare me, they just want to know that this is what they do in New York, or this is what they do in Chicago. And I can say, this is exactly the same kind of approach that's taken at the Metropolitan Opera. Or so,
Okay.
in other words, my knowledge of what successful people are doing is a part of my ability to convince people to give me money.
Okay.
And also, sometimes as I get older, I'm less and less shy. So I'll just call up someone who I know is really good at something, and who doesn't even know me sometimes, and I'll just introduce myself and I'll say, can I just ask you a few questions about what you're doing and how this is working for you? And those conversations can be really valuable. And it's the kind of thing that when you go in and you're trying to raise money and talk about it, if you can talk about some other managers who have a similar approach, who've been really successful, and how much their clients have liked it, it could be a real selling point to an investor. Because like, oh, this is something that's successful, other people are doing it, I might put some money in this. Just an idea.
Okay.
And something I think is a caution for all, especially startup entrepreneurs. I think a lot of people feel like VC is the holy grail and we get this pot of money, that's fantastic. The big thing you sacrifice with that is control of your company. And this looks like something that you could do and you can bootstrap it. And I'd encourage you not to lose track of that just because there is a $50,000 check or something out there. It might be worth waiting it out if it's working out and if you believe in it hard enough and you can wait on the money.
Okay.
It's also a good selling point with your clients. You know, when you meet someone and you say, you know, you really could use someone like me, like X had.
Okay.
And they're like, oh yeah, you know, and so it's just a way to communicate with people and get your ideas across.
Okay.
Thank you, Nina. Dr. Clark is also here tonight to listen to your plans. Appreciate her coming. So let's have a gentleman present. Who would like to present? Patrick? David? Come on, give it a shot. Oh, Braden's here. Let Braden present.
Oh.
Oh, you don't want to present?
Okay.
You guys have a seat.
Thanks, Sarah.
You got Braden a gig. That was good.
I'm sorry.
Oh, wrong thing. Copy of the slides for everyone, if you would like to.
So class, be sure you fill out your
Simple
survey.
stuff.
That'll be helpful to them.
All right, so hi there. My name is Braden Piper. I am a music industry studies major in the Bachelor of Science track, and I'm going to do a presentation today for my company, which is called Pivot Productions. We're a video production company, creative video production company. And if you don't know what that means, it means we essentially provide video production services for anyone who needs them. So the problem is that there's a high demand for video in the world today. There are over 120 million videos on YouTube right now, and it's an estimated 200,000 are added every day. So we definitely see a lot of video. And I think one of the big problems we come to a lot is that a lot of it is just no good. It's not entertaining, or it's not interesting to watch. It's not produced well. And so there's a lack of high quality video production. And the solution, which I'm proposing as Pivot Productions, is to create high quality video. We do high quality video production. And essentially it's going to be full service production, so everything from pre-production all the way until mastering of DVDs or creation of video for the web. And essentially that's everything from conceptualizing an idea with a client, really focusing on pre-production and coming up with an idea for a video before you just do it. And let's get ahead to the business model, which is easy. We provide video services and people pay us for that. And luckily, it's an industry that people are pretty happy to pay for. They don't expect it for free usually. And there's also rentals. Since we're going to have a good deal of video equipment, especially just a really nice camera and tripod, you can rent those things out to people who don't have those things, and that's another way to generate income. So the underlying magic, or movie magic, as this slide is aptly named, it's not very descriptive up there, but I'll go into more detail for you. So the pre-production would consist of the very first step of meeting with the client, discover the client's needs and what's the objective that they want to achieve with whatever video they want. It could be an artist wanting a music video, or a nonprofit needing to promote some event that they have, or it could be just a wedding video. I mean, that's included in the business plan. And then really sit down with the client and come up with a concept, brainstorm different ideas, decide on an idea, write a script, then storyboard what the video will look like from start to finish, and then after that compile a shot list, and then there's a number of other pre-production details like scouting locations, coming up with costuming if necessary, props, sets, licenses for shooting if you're having to close down a street or anything, come up with a production schedule, make sure everybody is available on certain days, and then always come up with a backup plan in case something goes wrong. And that's essentially what the pre-production is, and it really is the most important part of the process. And I think that's one of our biggest assets, is that, well, I understand that. I've been doing video production for 4 years now, and I definitely have a handle on it's better to plan ahead, and it makes every other step of the process go a lot smoother. The production itself, pretty simple. Show up for whatever you've scheduled, make sure everybody's there, set up lights, make sure you have rehearsed the blocking if there's any. I don't know, there's lots of different elements depending on what we're shooting, and then you roll tape. And then of course post-production, where we bring in all the footage, edit it, and then client reviews it, and then edit it some more, and then client reviews it, edit it, and an ongoing process until the client is satisfied. And then the final process, which is something that you don't see with a lot of other video production companies, we'll be offering DVD duplication and mastering, as well as creation of video specifically for the web, and offering the service of uploading it to whatever site somebody might want it, uploading it to a YouTube or to their own personal website. And we're experts in creating specific video specific for the web. And of course, it'll also be uploaded to our own website for marketing purposes. So going into marketing, in the business plan, you can see I've developed 4 customer funnels. It's a psychographic / demographic tool for targeting specific markets. There's one specifically basically for 4 different kinds of videos we would do. One for wedding video, one for a music video, one for an instructional or cooking style video, and one for a nonprofit sort of public service announcement. And the way I want to get things started is because I don't really have, I have examples of my own personal work, but I don't have examples of the company having worked with a client and really sat down and doing this. So I'm going to do 4 free videos, essentially, one in each of those categories. And in order to generate buzz around that, I want to do contests, specifically for the wedding video and for the music video. In order to attract people to that, the idea is to use target marketing through Facebook, primarily for wedding videos, because you can target people who list engaged on Facebook, and it's a really easy way to find people who might be looking for that sort of thing, and I don't know why they wouldn't want free video production. And for a music video, it could also be pretty easy. Just for one, I know a lot of musicians in the city. I'm a musician myself, and I've worked on a couple music videos. We're working on a couple music videos right now. One for Maddie, who's sitting up there, and the other for an artist, George Stathakis, who Patrick and David both work with. And so that's the basic idea for creating, finding customers and getting things started. Hopefully, the real goal behind the free videos is to catalyze word of mouth, because we feel like it's the strongest, most effective form of marketing. So we want to impress people and then get them to talk about us. Competition, there are a number of production companies, such as the Deltree in New Orleans. They're actually kind of an example, like you were asking earlier, is there anybody else out there doing this? You can check them out. They are a really good example of sort of creative and new style video. They're a younger company, and they were really successful. I don't know if you've heard of a video called 50 People, One Question, which they shot here in New Orleans. But they're going to be a big competitor for us. And basically, in this day and age, anyone with a camera is a competitor, because cameras are getting better, and more people are saying, hey, I'm doing something, can you just bring your camera and shoot it? You know, you're my friend, and I don't have to pay you. And so our way of getting around that primarily is to try and offer a much higher level of production. The team is essentially me at this point in time, but there are definitely a number of mentors and advisors and friends who can help. Mentors obviously include Professor Snyder, Professor George Howard, who's teaching us all kinds of things in marketing, entrepreneurship, and management. And then I work at a production company now. I have a number of mentors there: Jeff Duville, Kurt Wolf, Ted Ochoa, who used to work there as an editor, and I've done some work with him. And then there's people who I've worked with, students, colleagues, many of them sitting here, like Matt and Jared and Sarah and David. I worked with all of them doing video production, and I will certainly call upon their help if needed. Going into the financial, we're looking for an initial investment of $20,000. That is primarily to cover the cost of equipment. And the equipment costs come up to a total of $16,391.87. And so there's some extra leeway built in there for initial operation expenses and miscellaneous costs and feeding me. And we hope to be able to come up with a monthly revenue of about $8,000. And the math behind that is that we think we can do about 6 projects, and then based on fees for pre-production, production, and post-production, each would generate, it'd be 5 hours at $15 an hour, 10 hours at $25 an hour, 15 hours. It's all in the document, you can see. And then also built into that monthly revenue is 1 equipment rental per month. And so profit for the first year, we're hoping for $35,429, and then after year 2, we would have made back the $20,000, so it would just be $55,429. What we've done so far, I skipped, is the business plan. I haven't done a whole lot with this specific project just yet, primarily because it's not something I'm really planning on enacting right away. I don't really intend to find I'm not looking for venture capitalist investment. I'm accepting angel investment if you know anybody who just wants to give me 20 grand. But really my plan is to, and I don't really plan on taking out a loan for this as well because I am deathly afraid of debt. So I am planning on working and making the $20,000 and starting this company on my own. And that way I get to keep full control of everything and I don't have to worry about paying anybody. So what I've been doing is developing my own video skills. I work at a video production company and coming up with a business plan, and obviously it's not finished. It needs to be revised continuously. And then once we get the money, we need to do the equipment investment and start enacting our action programs during the business plan to generate customers. And that is essentially it. So do you have any questions?
How do you convinced about that, excuse me, about the rental idea?
I know that almost all video production companies in the city do currently offer rentals, and I think a lot of it depends on what kind of equipment you have. If you have a good enough camera, which I'm planning on getting a HPX 300, which is a high level camera. So I don't know the details of how steady a stream that is, but I know you can make money off of it.
But if there was a business there, you could always buy equipment to satisfy the business.
Right.
I'm just concerned that you rent out something, you're coming back damaged, and now you can't do the next gig.
Right. I think I had built into that is there's insurance, like somebody could pay for insurance for the equipment when they rent it, or if they don't, then they have to pay for the equipment, whatever's damaged. So.
Do you have insurance costs built into your financials?
I don't.
Might be something.
Yeah, I need a.
I guess my main question is, in your business plan, you're pretty aggressive and cocky in your business plan. You're the most creative person out there. But I really didn't see that in the presentation at all. I mean, it's just a PowerPoint presentation. I was hoping to see some fancy work up there. But
Would you like to see some video work right now? I could show you something on my website. It's. I mean, we don't have to. Yeah, it's on the website on the business plan, bgpiper.com.
But I guess my point is, this is a creative business, and when you're understanding you're not really selling it out there right now, I guess the school will quick. But if you ever do have to go out there, you're selling creative business, you need to exude creativity in person and with your presentation. That'd be my main thing. But
No, I wrote that. I think it's a very good point. I think that what you should work on with that is either. I agree. I think the tone of the written document didn't match the tone of the presentation, and I would just say to you that you should really try to make your presentation a little bit more. And I'm not saying we're animated, but I agree. I think whether you're going to use visuals to do it, whether your PowerPoint could just be more creative rather than just kind of blank words, or whether you yourself just really throw a little bit more of your. I didn't feel the passion for it. I read the passion, but I didn't feel it from you, and that's easy to fix. I mean, we're just pointing it out to fix it, And I think that would be something you should really. Presenting US for money a lot, once you get comfortable with it, it's nothing, but boy, it's a lot. You're not asking for money, but trying to communicate your creativity, you're gonna have to use all your tools to do it, and that was one you didn't take advantage of that you pointed out. And I think just the tone of your presentation was flatter than it probably should be to match what I read as well. I just expected a little bit more dynamic thing. So, but that's all. You can just work on that. That's what I would suggest.
I think that could be said for any presenter. Anybody who's presenting tonight, is that you have this one shot to present yourself to people, and so you have to do everything you can to do that. And I just remember talking to I can't be too specific here, but I was talking to someone who's really an expert in graphic design, and they were mocking my PowerPoint presentation.
The red line,
yeah. And I realized, you know what, they really have a point, because I've got people on my faculty who are, you know, experts in this kind of stuff, and I really should take advantage of them. When I do a PowerPoint for the college, I should probably have them help me. And you have all the ability to do that, you know. And I think people, actually, I kind of liked your presentation. I thought it was fine, except that I think people will naturally want to see your work. So if you have video work and you're ready to show it to them, I think that's a great thing.
Incorporate it in there.
Yeah, incorporate it in there, because you know, sometimes too, Braden, I was thinking about how you already know all this stuff about what's bad that's out there, the videos that most people get for their weddings and stuff, that they're kind of sad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a chance to kind of, maybe not say how bad everything else is, but to kind of show why you're different and special, and how you know, you bring all of this expertise from all the work you've done. The average person out there that's doing wedding videos probably doesn't have any, you know, anywhere near your ability or the expertise that you have. And you just have to, you know, show that to those potential clients. Now, would you work primarily in wedding stuff, or would you do primarily music stuff, or do you have a certain area that you're gonna?
At this point, it's sort of, I think it would start out more wedding stuff because that's where the money is, but I would want to move on to bigger things. I mean, I think wedding stuff to make money, but I would still do as much other things as possible, more creative projects, and to show people that there is value to those things, and that.
The video you linked in here, was that your work or somebody?
No, it's not my work. It's because I haven't done wedding videos myself, but I have.
I saw what you meant though. I mean, there's a wedding video and then there's that,
right,
which is really worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I look forward to looking at your stuff.
Right.
No, Braden, you just the other night, didn't you direct the jazz concert and the Carmina Burana concert?
Yeah, I mean, I do that on a pretty regular basis when we have the concerts that we shoot.
So you have 3 cameras set up, and you're calling the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you might want to get somebody shooting a little bit of that footage, because that is you in action, being professional on a level that very few people can be on. And also that multiple camera shoot, the most avid amateur is not going to have the one camera.
Right.
So already you're ahead of the game on that in that situation. So that might be a good way, and to show the not so good footage with the good footage, and show the difference, because it is true, everybody with a camera thinks to be a photographer these days, but we know that's not true. So I think you want to direct your attention to that. You got all the skills, and you've got all the background too. I mean,
that came across real well. I mean, your emphasis on pre-production and the emphasis of getting, without a doubt, I had a partner, we had a company, and he was the video side, film side of it. And there's no doubt you understand that, and that came across really confident and really well. I think, and I think you can do it without much investment. I think good thing about the business is it pays right up front. You get cash. If you need to rent a camera for a little bit, rent it. You know, you can save money. So I think you can do that, and I just want to see it come across more confidently is all. And
right.
But that just comes with repeating this over and over and over. Film yourself doing it, you know, and look at it, and you go, oh, geez, I didn't smile enough. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't see that face. That's a good face.
Alice, do you have any comments? I keep forgetting you're sitting back there.
Not my field, but I do think the point about you make claims. You know, I'm the most creative guy out there. You got to prove it. You can't just say it.
Right.
So that's where, yeah, show it. Not only in your demeanor, but somehow in the substance of your presentation. If you're that creative, you can do it.
And one other just suggestion. We put together a big proposal, and we hired a little video production company to come in and do a video, like a video proposal for a business, a deal that we're working on. And we showed that video, and it just set the stage. So I mean, there's maybe another avenue out there to generate more business on like the commercial side, not just music videos or anything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of stuff out, and really, the bang for your buck that you get from a good, well-done video is tremendous. A lot better than words on it.
All right, thank you so much.
One more thing, I think you're getting a lot of constructive feedback from this, so I hope you're cool with that, because I think everybody here sees a lot of potential in what you're doing. But I would, I think when you make a presentation like that, people are looking for is congruence. People want to buy. Then Rain automatically starts to find things. Well, what's not quite symmetrical in this thing? And I love that you put your elevator speech in here, but it's a little boring and a little staid. But later on, you talk about, simply put, we're a one-stop, full-service, super creative video production company. Well, just let that be your. If that's your angle, then you've got to own it and just do it.
Okay.
So I think it's got a lot of potential.
So let's take 5 minutes, in just 5 minutes, right quick. We got some more to do. I think this is a good idea. We've only got an hour left. We're going to try to get at least four presentations in. Okay? And so here we go. Now this Patrick and David's plan did not make it to the CFME side. I don't know why that is, but it was up there yesterday. We worked on this all weekend. I'm sorry I didn't get there. So when you rate there, when you fill out the survey only for the oral presentation, please. And, I mean, unless you have the plan, but if you don't have the plan, then just give them feedback on their presentation. All right. So please welcome Patrick Regan and David Butcher.
Hey guys, we're going to talk about our company, which is Rabbit Hole Consulting. It's a marketing and consulting firm that leverages business development strategy and intelligent targeted marketing in order to take artists or small businesses, basically any kind of music enterprise or small venture that's experiencing growth plateau, to the next level. We work with our clients to identify exactly where it is they want to be, what kind of problems they're encountering, and what solutions we can devise to actually work towards those goals. Basically, the problem that we're looking to solve with our company is that it's one of the overarching themes that we've been presented in almost every single class in our studies in the industry, and that as a reflection of conversations that are happening in the industry at large, which is what to do about the fact that the economics of the industry are in a severe state of flux. As the barriers of entry to the industry are greatly reduced, as it becomes more and more affordable for artists to independently produce, distribute, and manufacture their records or whatever it is they're making, we've had what's become sort of a superabundance of entertainment that's in the market. And because of this, record labels and traditional business entities in the music industry are expecting more and more of artists as far as what they're expected to have already prepared and done before they're even expected to be able to approach a label. And labels, since revenue streams are declining, are expecting to tap more and more revenue streams from the work of those artists that they were never able to tap before, like merchandise and things like this. So despite the fact that artists are expected to do more and more on their own, labels who are providing less and less value on their services are expecting to tap more and more of these revenue streams. And this has been a pretty weird problem for a lot of these bands. What's happened is that where labels originally, since it was prohibitively expensive for bands to enter the market by recording albums themselves, labels were expected to fund this and as a result expected revenue on the back end. But now that that's no longer happening, bands are taking on more and more of this on their own. But what's happened is there hasn't really been a step forward either in the things that bands now do on their own or that labels provide for the bands. Basically, originally bands were able to focus on what it was that made them good bands. Getting better and better at recording their music, getting noticed, having it recorded by a label, and the label would step in because of their vested interest in the success of their band after having funded it, and they would be expected to exploit the band's music at this point. But bands are now still seeing records as sort of an end to their means rather than as a means to their end. So they'll do everything they need to do, get the album produced, recorded, manufactured, distributed, and then kind of sit back and wait. And the labels aren't there anymore to really step in and do the things that they actually did do well beforehand because of this. If you'll forgive the analogy, it's kind of like the South Park episode with the underpants notes, where phase 1 is collect the underpants, phase 2 is a big question mark, and phase 3 is supposed to be profit in some way. So phase 1 is create the record, phase 2 is still a big question mark, and phase 3 is somehow expected to generate profit. Lots of bands, despite the fact that they're now able to produce records and things like that on their own, aren't getting any better at the things that they weren't good at to begin with, which is business development strategy, financial planning, management, marketing, these sorts of things. So we've identified this gap, and that's what we look to fill. Basically, we're filling this emerging void by handling things such as business development strategy, business entity registration, marketing, strategic planning, promotion, copyright registration, LLC registration, all these things that bands still don't necessarily know how to do particularly well. But we don't tap back-end revenues like record labels used to. We perform our services for fees on the front end, and bands work with us for as long as they feel necessary, which solves the problem that record labels have failed to really meet. Basically, our business model works that we have a minimum contract period where we work with bands where they sign up to work with us for 3 months. We expect a 30% down payment. We work for $2,000 a month, so 30% of the total $6,000. And after that 30% down payment, we take a 2-week window where we work to devise strategy for the bands and identify their targets and what we think would be best for them. And then we start billing them on a weekly basis as we begin to implement these plans. And what we do is we meet with them personally, we devise and implement strategy, we develop business plans, marketing plans, all these things that they'll need. And we also have an online curriculum that we're developing that goes out to the bands on a bi-weekly basis that will instruct them on basic things like financial planning, accounting, other things that they probably aren't very good at. Our competitive advantage is basically this is a need that's not being met particularly well by a lot of the traditional industry business entities that aren't really flexible enough to meet it. There's a high demand for it. We've been approached by a number of bands already about this sort of thing. Also, our education as music industry students, we've been prepared for the last 4 years basically in strategic planning and how to set goals and get to them. We have access to a network of professors and other people that people in the industry don't necessarily have access to, and we think that we really do have an understanding of how this works better than most people. As far as marketing and sales go, we're working with 2 bands right now for free to develop our proof of concept. We're tracking basically our success with them and using that to generate word of mouth recommendations and also to kind of have something to present to future clients. We're maintaining an interactive online presence. We have our company's website, which serves as sort of a business card for people to get in touch with us and learn about our services. But we also have an online blog where we review books about entrepreneurship, about marketing, things like this, which we then network with our social media, and that drives traffic back to our website. One thing we just started doing was reviewing HBO's show Treme and talking about the music in there and the different things that if you weren't from New Orleans you wouldn't necessarily understand. And after putting that up last night, our blog got 100 hits today, which drove traffic to our company's website and introduced people through it that way. We're working with Google AdWords and Facebook ads right now. We launched that today, and we're already seeing some click-throughs. We're also looking to generate content like videos. We're talking to Billy O'Connell, one of our marketing professors, about doing a video interview with him to then host on our blog, which will further drive traffic through him. That's basically how we're handling our marketing. As far as our competition goes, we're basically competing with the amount of information that's available for free online that people can use if they saw fit to actually implement themselves, and also the fact that initially it can be somewhat difficult to convey the value of the services that we offer to inexperienced artists when it's kind of hard to prove exactly how well these things work. Also, to a lesser degree, traditional marketing firms, people like Toolshed, the marketing divisions of record labels, things like that, will stand as competition, but they're a little less flexible than we are. Our management team, David and I run the company as partners. We're both music industry students. We've both worked in the industry. We both work for a startup record label. We've done promotions internships and production internships. David's been to the MIDEM conference in France. We've been working proactively in the industry for the past few years. We're also putting together a board of advisors made up of professors. Professor Snyder's expressed interest in that. Elliot Adams from the Louisiana Economic Development Department has, and Billy O'Connell, our marketing professor, has. Also, next year I'm planning to attend law school, so David will be running more of the day-to-day operations, but I'll be able to use my expertise that I'm developing there to contribute to the company. as far as our financial projections go, our operating expenses consist basically of payroll, which we're keeping at a minimum just to cover our cost of living. We are requiring that we keep a 3-month operational buffer in the company's bank account in the event that our business is interrupted for some reason, which is basically $3,000 just to pay us for 3 months. In order to meet our cash flow projections, we need to contract for full services with 3 clients by the end of 2010, which we think is a reasonable expectation because we're already working with about 3 bands now for sort of one-off services like business plan writing and these sorts of things. We're in talks with another one, and we're planning to attend the Artist Management Conference in New York City in October. It's the inaugural conference, but it's for artists seeking management, managers seeking artists to manage, and there's going to be panels on artist management in the industry today. So we're planning to attend that as participants and basically present our business as an alternative to a lot of the traditional management structures that will be presented there. So we think it's reasonable to expect to come out of there with at least 1 client, which hits our 3-client minimum for the year. As far as what we're doing today, we currently work with singer-songwriter Stathacula, local funk band Government Magic. We're doing a lot of business development stuff with Government Magic and a lot more marketing stuff with Stathacula. We were just approached by a Loyola band, Wolves Wear, to do their promotion in Austin, and they're also interested in having us draft a business plan for them. So we're doing a one-time fee for the business plan, and within the business plan there will be a lot of different things that can then be expanded upon and implemented for further fees. Like, we're going to have a marketing section, but if they'd like us to develop a full marketing plan, we're going to ask for more money for that. We'll be fully registered and operational by the time we graduate. We're already working on this right now. The only things left are registering our LLCs and opening our bank account and formally signing our operating agreement with each other. Let's see, what else was there? Last night, David was at the Big Easy Music Awards with Government Magic, and he was able to talk to some clients there. Do you want to mention any?
Yeah, last night Government Magic really likes what we're doing so far with them, so they were able to buy one of us a ticket to the show last night at the Big Easy Music Awards, and I was able to work out possible further deal with Truth Universal, who's a local hip hop artist, and after speaking with them, he ended up winning Best Local Hip Hop Act. And in addition to that, we met a few other clients, or possible clients, and the guitar player for Trombone Shorty now wants to do work with us.
We're meeting with him tomorrow. So.
His band just won Entertainer of the Year. So as far as networking, we seem to be doing fairly well with that.
And that's about it. If you guys have any questions.
I'll just say, to start to say, I think that just putting up that blog and giving free advice to bands is just a great idea. Giving away certain expertise is going to draw people, just like you said, and it's going to work. So I commend you on that. I'll try to.
Yeah, but using the business plan almost as like a lost leader to get them going, and then you do right by them, obviously going to come back to you. That's great. Great names you're talking about already.
Can artists afford $6,000 for 3 months of consulting?
Well, we think that artists at the level that would actually needs 3 months of consulting would be able to, which is why we kind of offer one-time services like the business plan stuff, where we're looking to establish relationships with these bands while they're small enough and help them actually hit a certain level. And once they actually do hit that level where they've recognized the value of what we've provided them and they'd be willing to actually pay us for more services, where we'll start seeing that. So we're looking to really get in at the ground level with a lot of bands, which will foster word of mouth with bigger bands, and as they get bigger, they'll be looking at us more favorably. So that should work.
You mentioned something about billing weekly. I think that was for that service. I'd really caution you against that. It's every week, then it's a reminder, like, okay, am I getting value for what I'm paying for this? Do monthly or do project fee? As partners, who does what? Who's responsible for what?
We have that in the human resources plan. Actually, basically, I handle the online and social media and marketing and a lot of the business development strategy things. David has experience already working with the Loyola licensing group here, doing like LLC registration and copyright registration and that sort of stuff, so he's going to handle that initially. He also does a lot of the networking and personal band consulting because he is in with a lot of people like in the industry right now because he goes to a lot of these conferences and like the Big Easy Awards and things like that. So where I might work on a lot of the conceptual things, David kind of goes out and implements them too. So
Can you live on $1,000 a month?
they don't pay our rent for the meantime. So
Must be good. What happens if the partnership goes sour?
well, we have an operating agreement worked out. Well, it's in the process of being worked out, but basically there would be a buyout clause or something like that.
One thing I don't know if you guys would consider is that I really like to add in partnership agreements is what they call this purchase a Solomon's agreement. That if I want to buy you out, I have to make an offer, but I also have to accept that offer back. So you either have to sell me your shares for that, or you can buy me out. But either way, I have to. It's a good way to make sure the number is fair. See what I'm saying?
I'll tell you what I think. I like your presentation. I like your use of your hands. I think you ought to memorize your little paper so you don't have to look down anymore and you can stay out front, because I think it really did come across as someone who would be looking for any kind of marketing, consulting, and business consulting, et cetera, and other things you do. I think you come across real positively, real strong. But to me, that animation was really good, and you sounded very confident, and like you really knew what you were talking about, even if you did or didn't, you know. So less to do with the details of what you were saying. To me, it was much more, I think we were approaching. I can see why you guys are doing well when you're just chatting with people, because that really is 90%, I think, of what you're going to end up doing to get clients, and then you're going to get people like you did, hand-holding you in to their little. You're going to put a stamp on your forehead and you're in the door and other people. So I thought you did a great job just with your demeanor and how you handled yourself. And I just would memorize that little piece of paper and wing it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I thought the graphics looked great and everything. So congrats.
Thanks.
I think Patrick and David, Patrick, you're going to go to law school?
Right.
Are you going to go here or?
I've applied to Loyola and Tulane, so I'm staying in New Orleans either way, but
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what.
I mean, I think that touches on something that I haven't heard so much of in the other presentations, and that is that people who are really successful at what they do build into their career development of themselves. And so when you mention that, that's a selling point to a potential client. Oh, he's going to law school. Oh, he went to France. And in other words, you're doing things, you're continuously improving your skills. It's not like you've arrived, you've got your degree, and it's over. Because people who are successful constantly have to reinvent themselves, constantly have to continue training. So the fact that you're going to law school is a plus in your presentation, but it's also a plus in your partnership, because this shows people that you're working on yourselves as much as on the others. When you've talked to these bands, I notice you've got all of these services listed here that you can do for them, and I see strategic planning. What does that mean exactly when you're strategic planning with one of these groups, or at least what's your vision of that?
Well, strategic planning, as far as what I understand it to mean, is more than the generation or like generating just like a very specific business plan template or something like that. Like business plan writing and marketing planning and things like that are very specific. Strategic planning is working with the band to really see like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Like, how serious are you guys about this? It's conversations that bands don't necessarily tend to have early on that they need to have. Like, we've sat down with a few bands and been like, have you guys talked about, do you guys have any agreement between each other? And they generally don't. And those sorts of conversations are what I think of as the strategic planning that you need to have with them. That's more than just something that I can sit down and like type up for them. Like, we talked to a band and it's getting them all on the same page. One of them was really concerned about cash flow because he had heard that it was something important that they needed. And he kept asking, like, how do we get this cash flow? Where do we get it? And we were just like, well, do you guys have a band bank account? And he was like, no. And we're like, well, then you don't have any money because of that. Like, you got to start there. So it took all of them being in the room to get those questions together that they didn't really know that they had. That is what we kind of do with them.
See, I think that's a wonderful thing to talk about with them. And I would put strategic planning maybe higher on your list of things you do, because you're absolutely right. Most groups don't spend much time, if any, talking about what their future is really going to be. And they're just concerned about tonight's gig and the latest recording. And of course, those are the bands that don't go very far. And you can use that as a wonderful way to convince them of. You'll show them immediately once you have that discussion, right, how valuable it is to have you as consultants. Right? So it's very exciting, and I think that as Jay was saying, the presentation is very, very good. And I think there's a lot of need out there. Obviously, there's so many bands that just, they come and they go. And finding one and showing them a kind of strategic plan is a great idea.
One tiny last thing, I think you could probably post your email out somewhere and not have to have your Gmail account. Just take it to Rabbit Hole Consulting.
We're working on having it at rabbitholeconsulting.com, but I have to register something that
Yeah.
I'm in the works with. But
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so Ashley, you're up. We're gonna have to hurry. You do your thing. You're next. So everybody knows Ashley Shabankara. Please welcome Ashley Shabankara.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Ashley Shabankara. I am a music education and music industry studies double major, and my company is High Up Productions, which is currently in works already. Jay will know that for sure since it is at the CAC. My executive summary: we are a group of 5 musicians, artists, and puppeteers who share a passion for bringing theater to the whole community. This includes children, adults, but primarily we are specializing in puppet productions. And so most of our productions are made out of 90% of recycled materials, including cardboard, lumber, and fabric. We use a process which we use contact cement on cardboard, and this cardboard sticks to other cardboard. We've tried it out on a variety of summer camps with children, such as the Newman Summer Day Camp last summer, and as well as a puppet theater camp that occurred 2 years ago that Arthur Mintz and Jacques Dufour were a part of. We additionally strive to provide productions free of cost to low-income families as well as schools. Utilizing Marie Lamb from the Contemporary Arts Center, we have started to bring in schools to come on field trips to view our production, and it's a positive asset to get children to experience the arts. Our objectives are that we're trying to generate a sufficient amount of profit to finance future growth. As well, we're trying to grow our business at a rate that's both challenging and manageable, ideally because we are doing theater, that we're going to do productions that grow and grow as word of mouth spreads about our productions. And as well, we're trying to become an intellectual and social asset to the community and our environment, especially considering our productions are made out of recycled materials as opposed to working directly from scratch. Our mission is that we are trying to bring superb theater productions to a variety of age groups and cultures while remaining in financial good standing. Remaining in financial good standing is a personal key of mine because I prefer that our company does not go under in our first year of production. Asking-wise, we're trying to get $29,000 for our production company. We raised $10,000 in November of 2009 through a Teresa Anderson benefit show, and this helped fund some of our company operations. As well, we've had an angel investment from Teresa Anderson, as she is married to Arthur Mintz, our director for our production. Ethics, we're looking that trusting long-term relationships are built through honesty, openness, and fair pay. And we have an unwavering ethical commitment towards workplace that is respectful of personal difference and free of discrimination and harassment. I want a note for our human resources that all of our positions are for our upcoming production of Fantastic Mr. Fox, which premieres on August 2nd of this past month. Our various positions include our director, who is our overall visionary. This is Arthur Mintz, and he has a great amount of already experience in this field. He has received the Jim Henson Award of Excellence, as well as worked on Disney's James and the Giant Peach. Our art director is Jacques Dufour, and he's our artistic design, and he works very closely with our interns, designing all the elaborate cardboard structures that are part of our production. Our sound and lighting design is done by Rene Dufour, and he does all the audio and lighting elements, as well as recording Johnny Vodakovich, who's the voice of Mr. Fox. and making all the elaborate music for our production. And last but not least, I'm the producer for the production. I oversee all aspects for our production, including working with our external positions, setting up showtimes and box office, as well as handling our budgeting. Since our start in 2009, most of us have been working pro bono, which was a choice that we made early on just because we wanted to ensure the success of the production. Starting this year, once the productions began, we were doing $75 per show. We offer no current benefits, but as we expand, we hope to. We additionally outsourced all of our publicity to Gamble Communications, which has allowed us a large amount of success, especially in the end. We've had Radio Disney pick us up and promote our production and give out free tickets. As well, we've had success with NOLA.com and the Gambit Weekly. Our advisory board includes members of the Contemporary Arts Center board. We primarily worked with William Bowling, who has been our liaison, as well as Beth Schipper-Myers, and Lindsay Ross has done very well in ensuring everything is all right. And Jay, you've done a great job in ensuring that we're actually staying sane. Marketing-wise, all of our products are made out of recycled materials, including cardboard, as stated before. We involve the use of puppets in our productions, and they're geared towards elementary age students, although the humor in it is geared for anyone. We're currently spending $10,000 on our production of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Primary costs go to the cost of glue. Production costs, we'd ideally like to bring down to $10 for general admission, $8 for CAC members. At this current time, it's $15 for general admission, $12 for CAC members. And we've raised $10,000 to ensure that low-income families can attend free of cost. Our primary distribution comes through our publicity from Gamble Productions. We have a rent of $2,000 a month through the Contemporary Arts Center, and this is for leasing the third floor of the CAC, as well as getting members of their staff to assist us at night for our productions. We're additionally planning on offering merchandising, including a fanny pack, which is used in the production, which includes a headlamp, coloring pages, etc. And we plan on generating more merchandising to help generate funds. We're using the host site Eventbrite for ticket sales, and it helps keep our costs low because the fees are taken out of the money that we earn. We accept all major credit cards and utilize PayPal, but returns are not allowed. Our primary marketing strategy is using word of mouth, which has become a large tool of success. I know personally I'm a talker, and so I've talked this up like it's no one's business. And we also have used Gamble Communications very regularly. We utilize our website, hiya.org, which mainly gives information about Fantastic Mr. Fox and not our company overall. We've also received press. We plan on focusing on staying with an adequate cash reserve for our company. And as stated before, we've had angel investments from Teresa Anderson and have raised money previously. We have a low personal burden due to our cost of rent and our employee fees and our non-recycled products. Our goals for the production is to at least open one production. This year it is Fantastic Mr. Fox. As well, we want to create media in various outlets, which will help our production, and have a larger attendance from schools in the greater New Orleans area to ensure that arts education is prevalent. And we also want to ensure that we have a long-running production. On the legal side, we are incorporating it as a multi-member liability company. Initially, we were going to form as a nonprofit organization under the Backbeat Foundation. However, as time progressed, we realized that we prefer to be an LLC. We're going to have equal ownership between Arthur Mintz, Jacques Dufour, and myself. And we have to license all productions through the Samuel French Agency at $75 a performance, or else the copyright is infringed. In conclusion, we are a public production company, and we are hoping to make sure that the community has arts education as a prevalent form. As well, we're also trying to save the environment just a little bit more and use our recycled goods. And any questions, please feel free. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Are there plans to try and do like a series, season ticket type thing to create like a sustainable?
In the long run, it would be ideal, especially if we were to get our own space to use at this current time, since our focus is on one production. we haven't discussed the immediate plans yet. Once this production, just our first run is over, we're going to go into discussions about that.
Another, maybe you covered on this, but another way to get the word out, a lot of radio stations and stuff, you can get in on some of these talk shows, and it's almost like a public service announcement.
Yeah.
And you talk about it for free, and you get the word out that way.
We've utilized Radio Disney. That's our primary radio that we've utilized, only because it is geared towards children. We've been picked up. There was a March 20th interview, and they've announced it every week accordingly, just to make sure that it's known. So we have done that, just to be sure.
We could maybe do a PSA for you and put it on local public access.
That'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, we should do that. I mean, you're all about altruism and doing something for the community, and you're doing it in an almost redundant way. You're so concerned, so it's really,
Yeah.
we need to help you. And I think that other people will feel the same way.
One of the quick questions,
Yes.
what's your mechanism for verifying low income? Giving free tickets away?
I mean,
Honor system?
we're going, in my mind, we're going through like the RSD schools and looking at those families and looking at the recovery district and making sure that those families are served. It's still a little bit shaky on those things. We're also going to utilize young audiences, which is a great source of getting those students in. We're mainly looking at the children to bring in, of course, because I think that they need to be better served.
Do you work with like the actual school districts and the school administration in terms of setting up these performances?
Primarily, we've worked with Marie Lamb, and she's done a phenomenal job. We handed her a press kit, basically, and she was able to contact schools. Also, schools have come to the CAC asking if they can view the performance. So we still need to work on that aspect. I can't deny that fact. Schools have come to us. We've come to them.
What you need to point out there is Marie Lamb, who's the education director.
I did fail to mention that.
And she does that for the CAC, and it's spilling into this as well. So yeah, it's all verified. You know, they got their 90% on. They have a way that they draw that line. Assisted food program. I forget how they did it.
Lunch program? Right?
Yeah,
the lunch
so Marie
program.
handles all that for them right now. So it all is very tightly controlled, actually. And what you ought to say in your presentation, or that question is that she's sort of
Including,
acting
she's the
as an
education
expert on
director.
that. You're outsourcing that part of it, if you get good advice.
I mean, I think that as you were speaking and describing this, I was thinking of another organization in town, the New Orleans Opera. They have like an outreach program to children, which I think has had varying degrees of success. And I was just thinking about nonprofit organizations that want to reach out to new audiences. What might be a very interesting group of clients to work with, because if you went to them and said, you give us one or two musicians, or tell us what it is that you want to do, whether it's the magic flute or whatever, and we will create a show
Based around it.
based around it. And that would actually be a service to them, because they actually don't really enjoy doing that.
I know they do. I
You see,
definitely
so-
know that.
And there might be a similar need with the symphony. There might be a similar need with other groups in the city that would love to have some kind of outreach to the schools, but they themselves really aren't comfortable doing
Okay,
it.
that's a good possibility.
It might be a pretty interesting avenue of investigation.
I think it's a great idea.
But I think that the schools themselves, of course, and the school districts, you know, you could, as this grows, if you wish it to, you could develop relationships with the school districts and also with the parochial schools, private schools, and create kind of your own liaison with those organizations and do some regular productions that are just built into your calendar every year for them. And that would sustain the organization and allow you to do other creative things with it.
Okay. Yeah, I never really considered that as an option. It's a viable option.
Yeah, it's kind of another version of the blog. Put some of your stuff on a blog and build an audience.
Build it
for
around.
people who might
Yeah.
actually pay.
I mean, especially considering that right now we just have our small staff. Because we're planning on taking a month off before doing a full run, just making sure everything's good, and getting more puppeteers. When that's the case, and when not everyone who's involved in this production is free, then that definitely would be a viable option. But
something to look into as
Well, I know
business
the
furthers.
person who does that for the New Orleans Opera, so if you ever want to chat
Yeah,
about
definitely.
it, I could arrange a conversation.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Well, I think the written thing is great. Your document, I think you did a very thorough job.
Thank
For
you.
me, it read very easily. You know, I hadn't seen all this stuff when y'all came and spoke to me, so
Right.
this was all new to me. I think that you obviously, it's obvious, just you've got an amazing product. You know,
Yeah.
this other stuff I've seen of his. So you've got the right team in place, and I think that y'all's biggest problem, and it comes across to me evident inside the way this was written up, is your biggest problem is going to be dealing with you're going to get bum rushed by people wanting to see it, want to be a
Right.
part of it. Great ideas like this. You could grow this company could grow so fast it could kill you. You know, and I think y'all need to really realize that you've got something
Yeah.
here, and that you've test marketed it. I mean,
We have.
I think everybody in this room, y'all would die to go see this thing. I mean, the parents want to come back as much as the kids.
It's a little bit overwhelming.
Really is an interesting, bizarre experience going on up there. I think that you've really got a wonderful opportunity, and I think you've done a great job of articulating
Thank you.
your company and trying to do why you do
I
it.
do appreciate that.
I just, thanks for giving a visually interesting presentation. I think that, you know, it fits in, let's talk earlier about congruency, and I think it's great that this is congruent with what you guys do as a visual production company, and your business plan is visually interesting and appealing as well.
Thank you.
The only thing I would caution you is go back through your PowerPoint, because sometimes things format a little weird.
Yeah, I'd noticed that. I did it on a Mac and then came to PC World, so.
I should get you guys something with iWork up there, so you all can.
Yeah.
I thought that was just being creative.
I mean, I was being
thought, hey,
artsy.
that's pretty cool. You might want to leave it that way.
Just being really artsy today.
Right. No, I think it's great. And I think, you know, to the point about, you know, be careful of growing too quickly. A lot of companies, you can get eaten up in that really quickly, so try not to become a supernova
All right.
and flame out.
Is that a good, it looked like a good non-disclosure? Should everyone else steal something? It seemed like you have some good leads.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing you all kind of stole your non-disclosures from somewhere else, right? I mean,
I'm not going to admit it, but.
right, I would just recommend you, if you're going that route, make sure you steal it from a Louisiana company, because the laws here are so different than everywhere else.
I thought it was awesome just the whole time. I really wanted to see what it looked like. So if you guys maybe had like a theatrical trailer or something. It was just,
We don't have a trailer. We do have the NOLA.com preview, which I can email out to everyone tonight if they'd be interested in seeing it.
Stills.
Honestly, I think it's something that Braden should.
Yeah, if Braden would be interested.
We could do it. Put it together.
That'd be
Do the
pretty good.
setup.
That'd be
I
killer.
mean, it would be in addition to both of your businesses.
It would be. Sergio, did you like it?
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Thank God. I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
All right, moving right along here. Ms. Banks is next. Marissa has an interesting, complicated plan. So, since we have a second, so everybody's plans are due today, and you can bring them back tomorrow if it's convenient. And I'll have all these comments for the presenters in the office tomorrow. So, the people we don't get to tonight, who were supposed to present tonight, will present first next week. We're going to get as far as we can. Short. Please welcome Marissa.
How do you like this?
Go to view.
Huh? That one?
View and then click
Okay.
slideshow.
There you go. Good evening. I'm Latoya Scott, not Arissa. That's okay. Welcome to Musicians World. I want to thank all of you for taking time to listen to my business plan today. How many musicians or artists do we have in the room? Can I see a show of hands? Anything, aspiring, professional, doesn't matter. What are some of the services, if you think of yourself as a business entity, what are some of the services that you need to succeed as a business or a musician or artist? You want to raise your hand and let me know? Any ideas? What you need?
I guess like legal help.
Okay. Anyone else?
Publicity.
Publicity. Okay, that's good. Anyone else? Any more? No? Okay. Well, all of you guys need Musicians World. Musicians World has that plus more. I'm going to be going back and forth between my strategic plan, my business plan, excuse me, and my PowerPoint presentation. Musicians World allows a musician to organize their business in one facility. We provide an atmosphere for creativity, inspiration, and motivation. Staff and clients will all be working towards the goal of keeping the music alive. In our business, we have a law firm, entertainment and media, intellectual property, internet and new media, private client, multimedia production studio, and a music school, which encompasses a music business, music theory, and multimedia production. I realize that some of the critical risk of this is that it's too large. I've heard that actually from a professor here at Loyola University. Personally, I believe that it's not too large. I think that with the proper organization and proper finances, this can happen. This can happen. This is something that musicians need. In New Orleans, I've realized artists and musicians, we focus on the art. We focus on playing and gigging and stuff like that, but we don't focus on the business, and the business is just as important as the art. There's a demand for Musicians World. There are no other businesses like this model. We have, here at Loyola, we have a music school and we have a production studio, but none of that is geared towards helping and assisting musicians and helping and assisting artists. And we also have the law school here, but it's not together. It's not in one cohesive business that a musician can come in and handle everything at one time. This is really long, so I'm not going to read all of it, but I do want to say that we believe in the commitment that music is a truly a universal art form that conveys human emotions through melodic chords, colorful tones, and rhythmic beats. It is used as a medium that has historically crossed cultures and created a common thread for past generations and generations to come. We believe in keeping the music live, as I said before. On my team, my human resource plan, I have executive staff, which is a manager, secretary, marketing personnel, project and event manager, and interns. In our law firm, we have entertainment lawyers. In our recording studio, we have in-house producers and engineers. In our music school, we have the best of the best: piano teacher, drums, guitar, bass, percussion, vocals, music theory professors, music business professors, and multimedia production professors. Make sure I don't see. Okay, for our marketing plan, we want to incorporate everything, and we want it to be like kind of like a cycle. One of the I guess visions for the company is that people who come to our music school, aspiring musicians, I mean, even in the schools now, the arts are being taken out. So this is something that people will be able to access, and to people who want to learn how to play piano or drums. People ask me all the time, as a musician, well, can you give lessons, or can you do this, or can you show me how to do that? People want those things. People want those resources. And as musicians, sometimes we are a little protective of our craft and stuff like that, but Musicians World is not like that. Musicians World is something that's open and for everyone. Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of got off topic a little bit, but the vision is that people who come to our music school will continue to use us because we have the best of the best. They will be the best, and they will be professional musicians, and they will use our facilities. They will use our legal services, and they will use our production studio. Make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself. The financial plan. Right now, I found a building. It's attached in the business plan. I could go back and forth, but I guess I'll go there in a second. It's going to be located in Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas right now is the 4th largest city in the United States. It is definitely the city that is necessary for a business to survive. I guess I'll go into the equipment and supplies. If you look at the strategic plan, I know some of you have it and some of you don't. I have listed all of the equipment necessary for the production studio, for the music school, the pricing strategy. Let's see here. I know some of you have the strategic plan and some of you don't. So how about I go there right now? Yeah, so we'll all be on the same page here. Yeah, this is an updated version. I don't know if you guys...
The updated version we put up the version that came on Blackboard, so then you
Recently?
updated it after that.
Yes. No, but did you put up the recent update on Blackboard? Okay.
Did you submit it again?
Yes, I called and asked them to resubmit it, but I don't know if they did that. It's on the website. Sorry, you guys, for the mix-up. Black communication. But, oh, I want to, so just because everyone doesn't have the same copy, I want to go over the overall company SWOT analysis. The business has potential of becoming a unique model. Like I said before, there are no business models like Musicians World out there right now. The essential needs for musicians can be obtained in one facility. It has the opportunity to grow because of the financial outlets. There's so many, I can go into that later, the future goals that we have for Musicians World. But there's just so many outlets that we have no choice but to survive. We have no choice but to thrive as a business. Some of the weaknesses is that the project is too large. There are so many outlets and, how can one person handle that all? I believe that it can happen, like I said before, with organization and finances. Oh, well, I guess I'll go into the threats I don't want to make this presentation too long, but some of the threats may be that the conflict of interest between for instance, the lawyers that may have external clients and things like that. But in the contract agreement, which I'll show you in a minute, it states that Musicians World's clients are the first priority, regardless of if you have other clients outside of that. That's how we address that threat. Another threat is the economic stability for the new business. Like I said before, I was told that it was too large, but at the same time, because of the outlets, that threat can be solved as well. New technology substituting the business structure. I believe that because the business will continue to grow, that technology will not be able to substitute the business model. Competitors may develop similar models to mine. Like I said before, there are no business models similar to mine. I believe that if we continue to grow, then they'll continually have to catch up with us, and that just won't happen. That's pretty much most of the things there. I want to go ahead and move on to the legal aspect. Oh, that's not mine. We will be a limited liability company. I have filled out the form 205 from because I said it was going to be in Texas. We have in-house lawyers, so they'll be able to take care of everything. We have, So, I guess I can go into the timeline now. I know all of you guys don't have this, so like I said, I'm going to go back to this. Oh, I promised you guys I would show you the contract. Okay, so this is the client term agreement. We believe that we are not a record company. We do not own the copyrights to the recordings that we have in the studio. So this is agreement that explains that clearly, so there will be no confusion. We also have an employment agreement that states that our clients are first in your in the business. Trying to see here. Okay, so here's a cash flow statement. Excuse me. I have personally, this business will not begin right now. This is something that I project to do after I complete my life. I plan on being a lawyer. I'm going to law school in the fall. So this is something that I believe that I'll be able to personally invest $68,266. That is not a lot of money for a small business. It may seem like a lot now, but I believe that that's something that definitely can happen. And I believe that that's something that people will invest in as well. I have listed out all of the things needed. The building that I found was $475,000 over a 50-year plan. It will be paying $9,052 a month for it. I listed all of the equipment. Of course, that's in the plan as well. I don't want to prolong that. Yeah. Okay, so the timeline. If you think about if the business were to happen right now, if I were to start the business in February, we would be finalizing in May based on assumption. And like I said, I've registered for the LLC. I have the form filled out, ready for that to go. The completion of the business logo would be done. Succession plan is really important because it's not a business for me to succeed on my own. It's something that I really believe in. I really believe that musicians need the business model. I really believe that musicians need the support and assistance that they're lacking. And you can read that on your own later. I don't want to prolong that. But I do want to go in some of the future goals of, just so you can have a visual of how it would be. Okay, it's I don't know. We do plan on having publishing. We plan on expanding to become a record company. We plan on becoming and having our own merchandise as far as T-shirts and hats and things like that, just to market ourselves. Yeah, so that's pretty much the business plan. Sorry it was so like all over the place. I just know some of you guys don't have the exact model, and I didn't want to confuse things. If there are any questions or concerns or suggestions, please let me know at this time.
So when you talk about like a music incubator,
Yes.
where to come in and fill all the needs of artists that they don't really help grow themselves and a one-stop shop
Right.
for an artist to come in. It's a great concept.
Thank you.
I'm a real estate person, so and now I love your thinking big and ambitious. I mean, but there's a lot that goes into taking a building down and then making it what you want to do. So, when you get there, there's your business plan is going to have to beef up a lot on the real estate side of it.
Okay.
And also, I mean, there's a lot of different subsidies and tax credit programs and stuff out there that can really help you take a building and change the use and fit it to what you're trying to do. So, again, when you get there, there's just it's a whole nother, I mean, it's a whole totally separate business plan.
Right.
To get that side of it.
Okay.
And you know, just another thing, you have money to take the building down. Did you count in any like build out cost of it to fit the space?
Yes, it was in the plan. I also put in the fact of like insurance. I called Nationwide to try to get a quote on that, and they told me it, I don't know what that's about, but they told me that it would be like $5,000 a year or something like that, as far as insurance is concerned. But I don't know. I probably have to further research that, I guess.
Yeah. Again, that's just a whole separate business plan, but I love the concept of music incubator.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I think you present really well. The package, the way you come across, I think that's all great. I think it's a great decision that you're going to law school. Talking earlier about congruency, that feels like a good fit to me. It seems like you'd be a successful lawyer. And
Thank you.
That package kind of all works together. There's a company downtown called Launchpad, which I don't know if you're familiar with. They're a business incubator in essence. They have co-working environment, and it's for small companies. And much like Brian said, I think it sounds to me what you're trying to put together is kind of this idea of it for a music environment. So I would encourage you to talk to Chris Schultz about Launchpad and go down there and just check out the environment, because they've created something that's really special down there. Once you get the critical mass behind it, it just takes off like wildfire. Because not only does it work for them from a business standpoint, everybody there gets to share ideas and there's great energy around it. So, something I would really encourage you to take a look at.
Okay.
The only other feedback I have for you is that, and you knew this, that you were kind of fractioning around a little bit, looking for things, and it didn't flow real well. And I think spell check killed you in your business plan, because it looks like you ran a spell check, but then some of the words didn't quite make sense in order, or it changed kind of the context of things in the sentences.
Okay.
So even though it's a big business plan, you've been through it a bunch of times, you still got to go back and proofread it, or have a fresh set of eyes look at it.
Second set of eyes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Because you know what's supposed to be there, and your brain will trick you on it.
Yes. Definitely. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree that, I mean, to me, the strength was you in your presentation, the way, you're not even worrying about what you said, but, how you said it was really strong to me. I think it is a very big idea, but it is one that pretty clearly, I think you just need to go back and rework how you're going to articulate it when you present it verbally, because I think it is, because you've structured it so well, and I'm amazed when I was reading through it, you know, you go into all kind of detail about microphones and this and that, so you've done a lot of work, you know, pulling, stuff from places and putting it into here. But I think you need to structure the presentation, but it's there to be structured. It's not that difficult, but for some reason it just didn't flow for you.
Right.
And I think you covered well because your presentation is well. So I think it made me keep listening rather than just shut it off. But I think you can fix that up, and that just needs to happen. I think it'll go great.
Thank you.
Well, I think when you build this and you're looking for someone to direct musicians well, I hope you'll think of me.
Definitely.
Because it sounds like
Definitely.
a college of music.
Right.
And except it's a college of music that's geared towards the audience of today, of people who really don't want the academic training per se. They want to get into the industry. They already have some skills. This kind of has built into it an opportunity for them to continue study if they wanted to, but also the recording studios and the legal people. It's kind of like a Walmart of
Right.
music, right?
Right.
And actually, you know, it's intriguing that there's one in business. You know, there's a similar thing for people who are interested in doing this in pure business. So that shows that there's obviously, there may well be a market for that.
Right.
And Houston is a huge center. I guess one of the complexities would be who your clients would be. Who would your clients be? Because in Texas, that's a very rich, and there's a great variety of music that's made there. So your clients might be from all kinds of different styles and ranges in a city like Houston.
Right.
And you would probably want to find a way to deal with all of them.
Right.
But this reminds me so much. When I was in college, I went to school in Texas. My first degree was in Texas, and I had a friend who was a country western singer, wanted to be, and he would drive all the way from this little town he lived in West Texas, and I would transcribe the songs for him. And he paid me, I don't know, $30, which was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there are a lot of people like that out there who might, you know, be interested in something. So I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
And very, very creative, very beautiful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you know, the time has kind of run down. We had Devin and Lisa who planned to present. So we all present first next time. Sorry. So please give a thanks to our panel for coming in. We'll hand in your papers, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And thank you so much for your attention. Thanks for coming up.